Yuval Noah Harari, welcome back to the program.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
So we speak on a day where there's been a terrorist attack, some kind of attack that details are coming in Jerusalem. It's a long time since we've seen this kind of thing. Very sadly, a young Israeli Canadian, a 16-year-old, has been killed, and there are reports that a Palestinian was killed yesterday. Why do you think this is happening now after such a long time?
I don't know. I can't get into the minds of the terrorists behind it. It's a very painful day, especially as it seems that they targeted young people on purpose, that they deliberately chose to attack. I mean, many of the kids, not just the kid that was killed, but also of the injured kids on the way to school. And this was deliberate. And it's, you can't really get into the mind of people who knowingly do something like that.
And as we were just discussing, this terrible mass shooting of a different sort in the United States has just happened. But you're in Israel, the eternally unresolved situation. What do you think it will take to actually end this cycle of violence? I know.
That's way above my pay grade. Basically, it's a problem of motivation. It seems that we've reached a point when many people, even maybe most people on both sides, just don't have the motivation to solve this. This is political problems are not like mathematical problems. In mathematics, you have problems that you can really prove they have no solution. This problem has no solution. There is no such thing in politics. All political problems have solutions. It all depends on how much motivation people have. And unfortunately, we are in a time when they have no motivation.
And does it depend on the structural situation? I mean, we said that it's almost like Back to the Future with this new Israeli leadership. Benjamin Netanyahu is bound to be made prime minister, and in his coalition, it just keeps going further and further to the extreme, and this is the most extreme anybody has seen. I just want to read you a little bit about some of the names which are causing a lot of anxiety amongst your biggest allies, for instance, in the United States. You've got, Itamar Ben-Gvir. He has been convicted for inciting anti-Arab racism, supporting terrorism. Until recently, he was deemed even too extreme for government. There's another one, Smotrich, who has wanted to be defense minister, and the US has made it known that they won't accept that. And he is very, very, very hardline. Some of them are openly homophobic. They won't shake hands with women. They say the Torah has to rule. They want to annex the whole of the West Bank. What is going on here?
I think one of the key things is that a lot of the Israeli public has gradually switched from a belief in the two-state solution to at least an implicit belief in the three classes solution, that you have just one country between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean with three classes of people living there, Jews who have all the rights, some Arabs who have some rights, and other Arabs who have very little or no rights. And this is increasingly the situation on the ground. And this is increasingly also the aspiration or the mindset of even people in the government. And this is extremely worrying, but this is what is happening.
Wow, I've never heard you sound so fatalistic. You even think climate change can be mitigated.
No, also this, again, it goes back to the issue of motivation. It's not that the conflict has reached a point when this is the only solution possible. We've reached a point when this is the preferred solution or the preferred situation for at least some of the Israeli public and also some of the Israeli government or future government members. This is not deterministic. It's not written in the stars or anywhere else. It's a human choice. I hope that people will make different choices. But it's we have to first of all acknowledge what is the reality before we can think of ways of improving it.
So I wonder if that leads me to your new book. I mean, I have it here. It's an amazing book. We don't usually see your books like Sapiens and the others with this kind of childlike cover. And of course, behind you, you have an image from the book. So the question, and it's called, Unstoppable Us, How Humans Took Over the World. It's your history lesson and civics lesson for young people. In view of what we've just been talking about, motivation and understanding, what do you think telling kids will do to shape the future?
I think in the long term, this is the key. Because how kids view the world, this is how they later view the world as adults. You can change your mind afterwards, but it's very difficult to unlearn what you have learned as a young person. If you were raised believing that, for instance, your people is superior to other people or superior to everybody else, and this is what you have been fed for many years, it's later on very difficult to change that. And unfortunately, we see it again. It's not an Israeli phenomenon. We see it in many countries around the world, in many people, many nations around the world. They raise their young people on this kind of view that we are better than everybody else. Our interests are more important than those of everybody else. And unfortunately, this leads today to an existential crisis for humankind, because this kind of thinking, of course, for thousands of years have led to wars and persecutions and so forth. But now we are facing some existential global problems like climate change or like the rise of artificial intelligence, which cannot be solved unless you cooperate with the other people in the world. And if people have this mindset that we are superior to everybody and that only our interests matter, then cooperation is almost impossible.
So do you feel that you lacked that in your primary education?
Yeah, I think that when I grew up, I took it for granted that Jews are better than everybody else and that we are more important than everybody else. And it took me a lot of years to realize that actually this is not necessarily true.
And while it's a lovely, colorful book full of images and pictures that will appeal to young people, it doesn't shy away, as you've been saying, from very, very important issues like climate change. And you say, and I want you to talk a little bit about this, because again, this is a big issue that not only, well, it seems that the world should be motivated and have the political will, but clearly, as we've just seen in Sharm el-Sheikh, they couldn't even get to an agreement on the big issue, climate, emissions and the greenhouse gases and fossil fuels. What are you saying to give people hope, particularly the capitalist world?
Well, one thing you should be very clear is that humanity has the power to prevent catastrophic climate change. It's completely on us. It's not an inevitable natural disaster. We have the scientific knowledge. We also have the economic resources. It's estimated that if we invest about 2% of global GDP in developing the right technology and infrastructure, we can prevent catastrophic climate change. Now, 2% of global GDP is a lot of money, but it's completely feasible. It's what politicians do all the time, shifting resources from here to there. Again, it's a question of motivation. Yeah. Do people have the political motivation to do it? And also, we now see the World Cup in Qatar. And for me, the World Cup, despite all the criticism, it is a very positive sign that, look, people can agree on something globally. With all the criticism that we hear about globalism, if you like the World Cup, you're a globalist. Because the World Cup is really globalism in action. Globalism doesn't mean the establishment of some dictatorial global government that forces us to do things we don't want. It simply means that different countries can reach agreement on common rules of how to behave. For Brazil to play football against Germany, first of all, Brazilians and Germans need to agree on some common rules. It doesn't mean they are not patriotic. It doesn't mean they still cheer their national team. They are still fiercely patriotic. But this patriotism can go hand in hand with agreeing with the other countries on common rules. And this should be the basis for how we approach other problems, again, like climate change, like global inequality, like AI.